payroll liabilities. Okay? Now, you guys, when you get your paycheck, you compare how much you made and how much you take home. And they're really different. Kind of shocking, right? Why are they different? Okay?
Who's FICA?
I'll be with you in a second. Micah, how about a Federal Insurance Contribution Act? So you start out with your gross pay, right? Your gross pay is how much you earn. Then you subtract your federal income tax. And the federal income tax is abbreviated FIT. Okay? So this is FIT. So the way this works is, your employer acts as an agent for the federal government and collects the taxes, your income tax, in advance. In America, it's pay as you go, right? So your employer collects it and then forwards it to the U.S. government. Okay? Actually, what happens then, I'll explain that in a minute. Then there's state tax, state income tax. And of course, if we were working down in Oregon, then our Oregon employer would collect the income tax in advance and forward to the state. Now, who's FICA? There's Social Security. And that is FICA. And FICA stands for Federal Insurance Contribution Act. So Federal Insurance Contribution Act. So there's Social Security. Now there's also Medicare. And both of these are parts of FICA. Okay? So Social Security, and of course when a person retires, you get a Social Security check, right? And then Medicare, if you're over 65, you get medical insurance. That's Medicare. Okay? Both of those are parts of the same FICA, and FICA stands for Federal Insurance Contribution Act. Okay? Then you have voluntary deductions. So, for instance, United Way has will say, listen, if you want to give to United Way, your employer will take it out of your paycheck and send it directly to us. Okay? NPR has a similar thing. You take out your retirement. So here at Clark, I'm required to put 10% of my wages into TIAA prep, and the college will match it, and your medical insurance. And so 10% of my wages is taken out before I even see my check, and it's sent to TIAA prep. Okay? And then there's also medical insurance. And so most employees, insurance, A&E. So what happens here is, my part of the medical insurance premium is taken out of my paycheck and sent to the insurance company. Then, when you start here, subtract all these things, what you end up with is net pay, and net pay is what shows up in your paycheck. So gross pay is the total amount you earn, net pay is your take-home. These are all taken out before you see it. There'll always be a payable, because your employer takes them out and then your employer has to send them to somebody. So the federal income tax and the Social Security and Medicare, of all things, both of those are called 941 taxes, because 941 is the form where it summarizes it, and all of that is sent to Social Security, oddly enough. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So the way this works is, so let's take a look at it. So let's take a look at FICA. Now FICA, Mike, what does FICA stand, Michael, what does FICA stand for?
Presidential contribution to that. Perfect.
All right.
They just take a big portion out of someone's check every week, though.
Well, hey, listen, how about this? It's 6.2, no, let's see, it's 6.2%.
2%.
Right, 2%. The reason I say that is because the way this works is we'll use whatever the book says, right? And what they have in the book is whatever was effective in the year the book was written. Now, on the job, you'll work with different numbers, because this is all by legislators. Whatever the legislators decide, that's what it is, right? So don't be surprised if you see different numbers on the job simply because it's a different year, okay? Now, what the book does is a 6.2% on the first 106,800, okay? So, that means you have a maximum of 6,621.60. So what it is it takes your gross pay and multiplies it times 6.2%, and on January 1st, everybody pays it. As soon as you earn $106,800, you quit paying Social Security. Okay? All right?
Is that like how much you put into Social Security?
That's what it's, and it turns out that 6.2% of this turns out to be $6,621.60.
Okay.
So this is the maximum you pay.
Okay.
This is what you pay, this is the cap, right? This is the rate. Yeah.
Where do they come up with that number, 6,800?
It's by legislator. It's by law. And what the legislature just says, here's how we're gonna run Social Security this year. So let me give you a good answer to that. You know what? When you take, if you go to most large schools and you study accounting, when you study taxes, you go to the law school. Taxes are part of a law school. They're not part of accounting. They're really just a law school. Whatever the law says, that's what you do. And of course it'll change. They can easily change. Yeah. All right. Now the other part of this, the Medicare. I'll put this FICA Social Security. Now the FICA Medicare, which is the other part of this, the FICA Medicare is 1.45% with no cap. Okay? So no matter how much you make, 1.45% of your gross pay goes into Medicare. Okay? Now, just to make this memorable, Social Security is considered what's called a regressive tax because it taxes low-wage earners disproportionately more. So all of us have to start by paying 6.2%. Then when you become kind of a high-age earner, you quit paying it, which is unfair. That's called a regressive tax when it taxes low-wage earners disproportionately to high-wage earners. Okay? Tiffany, I see a quizzical look. Why do you have a...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This, a regressive tax. That's a tax that taxes low-wage earners disproportionately
Okay, I
more.
understand that part. But you're telling me I have to pay them $106,000, like, that, or I don't understand, like, the
Oh,
difference between,
January 1st, you pay Social Security, right?
no, because I'm a student and I don't work, but let's say I was.
Listen, let me reword that. Tiffany, imagine you have a job. Okay, you got that in your mind? All
All
right,
right.
so you're imagining you got this in your format.
Okay,
January 1st, Jenny, you get your paycheck like 10th and the 15th, so you get
Right.
paid on the 10th, right?
Mhm.
And you get paid. So then, as you, through the year, as soon as you earn $106,800 in any year, you stop paying Social Security.
oh, okay.
It's
So that's
a
not
cap.
how much you pay Social Security,
It's
that's how
the
much
cap.
you cap once you don't pay more after you earn that much.
That's gross pay.
It's gross pay, exactly. Now, by the way, 6.2% of this number turns out to be $6,621.60, so this is the maximum you will pay, because that's when you reach the cap. Yeah.
So on a test, would it be that we would need to know the actual cap the first one, 6,800, or will it always be based on the max cap number?
It's something they gotta tell you.
Okay.
And they gotta tell you, because like we were talking about with Justin, it's just it's a law. And it doesn't even have to make sense. All right.
I was just explaining real quick. 'cause
Well, if you got a question, you know, anyway.
She had the same question I did. I just said what you said really, really fast in her language.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, all right, just trying to do the job here. All right, so listen, you guys, quick on. All right, so let's go through this. So here, how do you record it? So here's what it looks like, right? So what happens here is, so on January 1st, this is what it looks like. Let's make it January 31st. The debit goes to salary expense. And let's put this $2,000 in here. So this is the, now, prior to this, I kept saying you, right? Meaning, because when if you have a job, it's something the person can relate to, right? Okay. And from now on, I'll proceed that with imagine you have a job, okay? All right, so, but now I'm going to shift gears. What we're talking about in this whole class are companies, and we're talking about employers, right? So this is the employer's books. So the employer has the gross pay of $2,000 for all their employees, okay? So we multiply this times 6.2%, so if we have 2,000 times 6.2%, that turns out to be $124. So that means the FICA Social Security will be $124. So when we do that, we have FICA, and so I put SOC, SCTY standing for Social Security, well, and it'll be a payable because it's a liability. It'll be $124. So this employer, this is the total amount their employees earn. This $124 is the amount that the employer will keep from the employee's paycheck, right? For Social Security. We multiply that, we multiply 2,000 times 1.45%. That comes to $29. So now the employee, everybody see where I'm getting the 6.2 and the 1.45? Anybody not see it?
Is the 124 supposed to be a credit?
Well, it is a credit. Thank you so much. Okay. It is a credit, and it's a payable. Okay. All right. So now we have FICA, Medicare, and that will be a credit of 29. Okay. And it will be a payable because it's a liability that some are going to send in. Now, we also have employees federal income tax payable. I'll put FIT payable, and FIT stands for federal income tax. So this is the one where we keep it from our employees. So we take a total of $213 from our employees' paycheck. And this is for the taxes that they personally pay to the federal government, right? Now, where do these things come from? You calculate it. There's a thing called Circular E. And Circular E has all the tables you need to figure out how much withholding you should keep from an employee's paycheck. So when you look at it, it starts out by dividing into two categories, married and single. And then it will say yearly, monthly, or yearly, semi-annually, monthly, weekly, and then you go by allowances. And so you can look up and see how much this person should pay in their taxes. This is how much they'll look at. Yeah.
And for just demonstration, you're just giving us the number, we're not.
Yep,
Going
in this
to
class, and it's not difficult to work with, but in this particular book, they just give you the number. Okay, yeah. And where the number comes from is the tables to calculate it are in Circular E. Okay.
That's for the state.
Federal. That's for the federal. So Circular E will tell you how much federal income tax withholding you should get per employee.
You wrote it under state income.
I did. Thank you so much. Man, this guy should be talking right at the same time. By the way, nice job on both of those catches, and I was just talking and writing. So I appreciate and don't hesitate if you see a typo, seriously, because, yeah. And somebody's back there saying thank you. No, seriously, somebody was.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So the employee medical insurance payable. And I'm gonna write INS for insurance and payable. That comes to $85, okay? And that means that, normally the employer, both the employer and the employee pay the insurance, medical insurance. And normally the employer pays a larger portion, okay? Then, in this case, there's union dues payable. And so that happens here at Clark, that our union dues is called check-off. Our union dues is taken from our paycheck before we receive the paycheck and it's sent up to a WEA, Washington Education Association, they're on it. Okay? So now, if you have 2,000 minus 124 minus 29 minus 213 minus 85 minus 25, you end up with 1,524. That is salaries payable. And that is how much you take home.
I must say, these numbers don't make me more encouraged to get a job. I think I'll just keep my imaginary one.
Okay, all right, that'll do it. Okay. Well, that's not bad. Turns out to be like a fourth.
That's a lot.
Just kidding. All right, you guys, let me bring you back here. Listen, you got a problem with that, bring it up with John Fight when you take it. This is accounting, okay?
I have it tomorrow.
Okay, tell John that you think this is a bad deal.
Right.
Yes, that's
So you
her,
see what the-
Trish Atkins, wherever. Okay, we'll see you Wednesday. Okay, whatever. Patty Serrano would be good, I just put the numbers in. Yeah, that's it.
Steve,
Yeah.
but in a test question scenario, you'll have all the information. We don't have to memorize the order of all the deductions and all that, right?
No,
What about the
just know
6-1?
that they are deducted, yeah. But no, the order doesn't make any difference.
No, but I mean, in the question, it'll be, okay, we're gonna figure, FICA state, SUDA, FUDA, Medicare, and, voluntary contributions. It will be given.
See, the trouble with it is I always feel like I've got to be careful in a question like that. On the test, people do, you'll have all the information you need and the directions to follow. Yeah. All right. Now, so what happens is, this is how much the employee earns. This is how much is kept out of the employee's paycheck. This is how much the employee's paycheck is for, right? In addition to that, the employer has taxes in addition. So some of the employer's taxes, so these are the employees. Let's take a look at the employer. Now the employer, so what it is I'm going to start out with the debit to payroll tax expense. Now it'll be a debit, I'm going to leave it blank right now. So the employer matches the employee on FICA Social Security. So it'll be the FICA Social Security SOC SCTY payable. The employee paid $124. The employer matches it, and this is of course a credit. okay? The employer matches the Medicare. So now we have FICA, Medicare, payable, and the employee paid 29, the employer matches it, okay? Now, the employer also has a couple taxes that only the employer pays. And SUDA is one, and FUTA is the other, okay? Now, SUDA stands for State Unemployment Tax Act, and it's, in this case, it's 5.4% of the first 7,000. So what it means is, I'm going to switch